I'm very hyped for the final episode of Attack on Titan, and I assume many of you are too. Since now is the best time to capitalize on the hype, I decided to grab this most interesting what if from the comments section and run absolutely bonkers with it. But first of all, there is something we need to discuss. There are a couple rules that exist within Attack on Titan that we need to talk about. Normally, these would impede the story quite a bit. The first rule is that only a Subject of Ymir can utilize Titans. This is the biggest rule we need to change because, in case you noticed, Naruto is not a Subject of Ymir. He's not even an Eldian, and trust me, there is a difference. But we can rectify this with a bit of logic. Firstly, we need to realize that Ymir herself was not actually an Eldian or a subject of herself. She was Marleyean. She simply became the founding Titan because she was the one to come into contact with the founding Titan in its natural state. That being said, while it seems so far that no others save Subjects of Ymir can ever become any of the other 8, we at least know that the founding Titan can be bonded to a non-Eldian, as this happened once already in the past. So I'm going to be using this as a reason why Naruto can have a Titan. The second rule I want to change is the 13-year term limit that all Titan shifters possess. It's called the Curse of Ymir, but this, along with all other rules set on Titans and the founding Titan, can be circumvented. Zeke himself stated that during his and Eren's time in the paths that he actually managed to revoke the vow renouncing war easy peasy, so it's no stretch to believe that any rules that are placed on Titans can be flushed. Non-Eldians can become Titans. No 13-year limit, no vow renouncing war. All of that can be altered. So I'm just gonna say this for now. This founder likely found itself manipulated in the past to erase these pesky rules. So now that we've explained this, let's go ahead and start the video. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. We've also noticed that a lot of folks who are watching our videos aren't actually subscribed to our channel. We know that YouTube does a great job of getting you what you want to watch, but if you want to support the channel, or if you just don't want to ever miss a video, make sure you hit that subscribe button. The Amagi's reach stretches beyond just this channel, so if you're a fan of us, please consider subscribing to our other channels and following us on all of our social media. Help us reach our goal of passing 100,000 followers on all of our accounts by the end of the year. In the hideout, Kushina lay in labor. At her feet, a man with brown hair and glasses was there to catch the baby. Here he was again, delivering another baby, playing doctor for a second time. Dr. Jaeger was currently one of the best doctors in all of Konoha, despite not being able to utilize any form of ninjutsu. And that's exactly why he was the preferred doctor of 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze. Minato knew that if this man was this skilled as a doctor without having the ability to utilize chakra, that if he were paired with people who could and understood how it worked, his ability to heal would be second only to Tsunade herself. This was quite the honor, but currently Grisha wasn't completely there. As the 4th Hokage's baby began to crown, he witnessed the blonde hair which had sent him into the back of his mind. Grisha had done this so many times, it was basically muscle memory. Even still, he felt it was an unprofessional thing to do. All the same, he couldn't help it. Blonde was such a rare hair color, especially in Konoha, and every time he saw it, he felt the same. He was reminded of the happiest day of his life, the day his own baby was born, Zeke. Grisha began to look back on the path he took to get here. How was it that he got to this point? Grisha remembered when he was in the old chapel the Rice family had. How he'd pleaded with them to stop the Titans in Shiganshina, but they refused. Grisha himself had used his own Titan he'd received from Eren Kruger to attack the family and seized their founding Titan as was the plan. Was this a mercy from the worm-like creature that he'd swallowed? Was this some premonition from God to give him peace? He was unsure, but through the paths he witnessed Eren and Mikasa reaching safety. But he also knew that the warrior unit was after the founder. Grisha, in hopes that he might be able to save his family and his people, cried out for help. For a moment he saw a little girl out of the corner of his eye, and for a moment after he found himself in a dark desert wasteland where only one tree grew. A giant tree of light. This was the paths, and at the center of those paths Grisha found himself, the coordinate. A path was open to him. Through the Founder's manipulation of space and time, Grisha was given the chance to flee to another world. For a moment, he wondered if this were truly the best plan, but he came to realize that the Founder would always be the coordinate, and wherever it went, its 8 children would eventually follow. This meant that, hopefully, his people, his children, and his home would be protected from the wrath of the Titans. And here Grisha had been, continuing his work, hiding, realizing that so long as the 9 were out of his world, it would be safe. Or so he believed. Outside in the cold air, a single hooded figure stood. The people walked around it, their eyes fixated on it as it stood in the center of the road, unmoving. The people began to whisper. The figure's hand trembled ever so slightly. He looked up and around at them. It was a boy, no older than 12, as old as a Konoha genin. "I'm sorry," he said with a tear in his eye. Blood dripped down his finger. "I'm sorry." There was a flash of energy, lightning striking him from above. Suddenly, there was an explosion. A massive blast that devastated a large portion of Konoha. The very ground shook, causing the cave to shake. "What was that?" Minato said as he pulled back and looked around. "Watch out!" he screamed. He pulled Naruto free as a large boulder fell from the ceiling, crushing Kushina. Grisha stood there in shock, holding the baby that had just been named Naruto. Minato cried out for her, and in anger utilized his flying Raijin jutsu to teleport Grisha and Naruto to safety outside of the village proper. Minato stood there and saw the flames over the mountain, hearing the roar of a monster in the distance. This was a monster that Grisha knew too well, and his heart was beating faster than it ever had. "Oh no, they've come! They've come for me!" Who? Who has come for you?" Minato demanded. Grisha looked to Minato. "The Titans! The Titans have come for me!" Minato looked back. "Stay here, Mr. Jaeger. Keep Naruto safe." Minato disappeared in a flash of light. Minato appeared upon the Hokage's monument and looked out over Konoha to see a massive figure that had to be 200 feet tall. It was grotesque, fear-inducing. It was a gigantic nude person that possessed no skin whatsoever, merely musculature and some protruding bone. It was as if he were looking at someone's Susanoo that had become real. He watched as it stomped around, kicking over buildings, lifting them with its hand as if looking for someone. It's looking for Dr. Jaeger, but why? Why does it want him? He didn't have time to ponder this. He needed to save the village. This would actually be the point where Konoha would consider utilizing its tailed beast, but Kushina had been killed in the explosion. He hoped that the Uchiha were on their way. Minato rushed toward the creature to attack it, only for its steam to knock him back with heat and great force. He'd accidentally breathed some in, and now his lungs felt as if they were on fire. He began to weave hand signs. "I just need to get it out of the village." He prepared the flying Raijin jutsu, but from out of nowhere, a smaller titan, 5 meters tall, with an impressive jawbone structure, raced up from behind with a slash that sent Minato flying. Minato rolled along the ground until he hit something hard. He lay there for a moment before looking back up at what he struck, only to see the armored titan standing over him. Back at the home Minato had left Grisha and Naruto at, Grisha knew that they were here for him. He was out of place, an Eldian in a world of ninja. If Mikasa had been there, she would have fit in well, but Grisha couldn't. No matter how hard he tried, he could never blend. At the same time, he could never let the warriors take him or the founding titan. He needed to hide it somewhere they would never expect. Currently, they were looking for an Eldian. They had yet to realize that Grisha could pass it on to anyone else, and he was going to use that to his advantage. He looked at the babe in his hands. "Please," he said to the infant as he held it, "save your world and save mine." He would transfer his titans to Naruto. This would result in Naruto's rampage and the death of Grisha Jaeger. Back in the village proper, the Uchiha, led by Fugaku, appeared on the battleground. A voice from a shinobi cried out, "The Hokage's dead! Lord Fourth has been killed!" Fugaku cursed under his breath as he activates his Mangekyo Sharingan. He would suddenly form a large Susanoo, and he engaged the armored titan. The titan's teeth showed from under the plating as it hissed steam. Fugaku attacked, his Susanoo striking out, yet doing little damage to the figure. It struck back with such force that the Susanoo cracked. Any other Uchiha that possessed a Susanoo targeted the colossal titan, while the Anbu were targeting the Jaw titan. Realizing that their search was fruitless, the armored and Jaw titans began to flee. The Uchiha turned their attention to the colossal titan. The colossal let off a huge puff of steam, and by the time that steam dissipated, the titan itself was completely gone, as if it had never existed. This event was unexpected, and in one night, approximately 12% of Konoha was decimated. 8 in the blast, and the remaining 4 during the Titan's search. Hiruzen was reinstated as the third Hokage after an emergency meeting of the council as they searched for an explanation and someone to blame. This was believed to have been an attack by a rival shinobi nation, but one which they were unaware of. This became a fruitless endeavor as no other nation or rival village would claim responsibility, and Konoha could not prove anything. The event had scarred the people, but after this, it went quiet for quite a while. There were no further attacks. Naruto would be taken care of for a time, but ultimately left unadopted. None yet knew the powers he possessed. 12 years later, Naruto is a rambunctious and excitable tween who has become something like the village's collective adoptee. He has no parents, but the village takes care of him. Everyone on the street waves to Naruto as he passes by. Some storefronts even donate food, clothes, and even toys to the boy, which makes Naruto happy. Despite everything, he isn't quite the best student at the academy. He goes to school. Today was the day they were supposed to take their graduation exams. Naruto was excited. He'd failed twice before, but now he had his chance to make it. "I'm pumped," he shouted as he ran through the halls. Yeah, it didn't go so hot. Naruto was left sitting on the swing, watching the other kids that now possessed forehead protectors parade around. He almost wanted to cry. "Third time, huh?" a voice said as Naruto sat there. He didn't move. He remained quiet. "Chin up. You can't quit now." Naruto looked up. "Easy for you to say, Mr. Braun. How many times have I told you? Just call me Reiner." Reiner was currently the newest janitor at the academy. He didn't possess any ability to utilize ninjutsu, so Naruto found it funny that he'd be judged by someone like this. Reiner knelt down next to Naruto. "Listen, you'll get it eventually. You just can't give up." Naruto looked at him. "They asked me to do one thing, make a clone. I couldn't do it. I can't ever do it. No matter how much I practice or how many times I take the test, my clones come out the same. Just lifeless decoys that hardly even look like me." Reiner scoffed and chuckled a little. "Listen, Naruto, you can't give up. Back in my home village, I had a hard time too in school. There were things everyone else could do that I couldn't, and it was looking like I was gonna get passed up on a very important opportunity that would help me and my mother out in the slums, and allow me to finally meet my father. I was so depressed. Do you know what I did?" Naruto thought for a moment. "Ran away and became a janitor in another village?" Reiner wasn't smiling at this. "That did eventually happen, yes, but I trained harder than anyone else. Day in and day out, I trained and I learned. I took time to study with others who were more skilled than I, and I worked my hardest. I ended up graduating second in my class. Perhaps I wasn't number one, but I was good enough to be accepted into the program." "Then you ran away and became janitor," Naruto said with a slight snicker. Reiner pursed his lips together. "I'm trying to help you, Naruto." Naruto looked down. "Sorry." Reiner sighed and pat his head. "Listen, just talk to one of your teachers and see if they'll be willing to tutor you. If you do, I promise you'll see improvement. You'll get better, and the next time you'll pass for sure." Naruto smiled. Thanks, Reiner." "No problem," he said as he pat Naruto's head again and stood. He began to walk off. Naruto called out to him. "Reiner, what program was it that you got accepted into?" Reiner looked back with a grin. "It was a janitor program." And so Naruto took Reiner's advice and sought help from Iruka, who was more than pleased to help the boy work on his shinobi abilities. Reiner watched this from the windows and smiled, hoping Naruto really could pass the test. He stroked his pinstripe beard with a bit of a smirk, a touch of pride in knowing that if Naruto succeeded, he might be able to take a bit of credit. Slowly, his smile faded though. He turned around and began walking away. There was a reason why he took up this position. He could do far more than just be a janitor. He chose this, however, not only as cover, but because the Hokage's office was upstairs and he could use his position to get into rooms he normally would be unable to, and he could listen into other conversations. Now that the school was quiet, Reiner made his way to the Hokage's office. Finally, he was able to do a little investigation. He began opening up a file cabinet. He was searching for census records and any records of immigrants appearing in Konoha at around the time they had attacked the village all those years ago. It was here that Reiner discovered the appearance of a very interesting person. "Grisha Jaeger," Reiner said as he stood among the trees. He stood up. Sitting on the edge of a well-built treehouse was a blonde-haired man wearing glasses, reading a book. He looked over the spine of the book. To his side, a blonde woman leaned against the railing. "Is there any relation to you?" she asked. The man wearing the glasses nodded. "There is, actually. He was my father." At that point, a brown-haired man appeared from the treehouse. "Your father, Zeke?" Zeke nodded. "Yes, Marcel. I never thought I would hear that name again. I thought he had been turned into a pure titan alongside the others. How he survived, let alone obtained the founding titan, I don't know." Berthold listened from a window silently. Zeke put his book down for a moment as he was dragged down memory lane involuntarily, forced to make every pit stop, even the ones he didn't want to. He was quiet for a span of about 8 seconds. He then looked to Reiner. "Does it say where he lives, currently?" Reiner nodded. "Yes, I checked it out before I got here." "And?" Zeke asked, awaiting Reiner's response. "The house was dusty. I found an old picture of you, Grisha, and your mother." He offered it to Zeke. His glasses glinted in the light as he looked at the old photo. "Was there any sign of Grisha?" Reiner shook his head. "As I said, it was dusty. It looked like it hadn't been touched in years, but all the same, it didn't look like he had left." Zeke nodded. "He wouldn't want to leave behind such a memento as this. Or maybe he would. It's what he did to me, and it's what he did to Eren. Regardless, we're in a pickle." "What do you mean?" Berthold asked. Zeke looked back at him. "If he hasn't been home in years and didn't pack up anything to leave, then it's very possible that we accidentally killed him during our raid." Berthold's face showed a quiet panic. "But if we did that, then we've been living in this village for nothing." Zeke remained silent. Eventually, he spoke. "He's still here," Zeke said. "How do you know?" Annie Leonhardt asked. "Because our titans appear to be spatially linked to the coordinate. If the coordinate perished, then it would have been passed to another Eldian, which means either one of us possesses the titan, unlikely, or it would have returned to our world to seek out another host. And if it had done that, then we would have been pulled back." Piek Finger listened as she curled up in the shadow of the awning like some cat, her left eye open to listen to what Zeke might say next. "Then he must still be in this world, somewhere," Laura Tiber said, coming out of the house, her presence commanding yet calm. "We must track him down." "That's easier said than done," Berthold said. Laura looked around. "Easy or hard, it must be done. If he's not in this village hidden in the leaves, then he's in one of the others. And if he's not in any of those, then we check the settlements." "Do you know how long that would take?" Marcel asked. "We're just 7 people. Even if we all split up one by one, we still wouldn't cover enough ground to find him." Laura looked back at Marcel, her face not betraying any emotion whatsoever. "You presume that we will search for him personally. We are currently in a world ruled by shinobi, a group of warriors with which stealth and espionage are their specialty. We merely need to hire them to do this job for us, and the moment they find him, we will be notified so we may take him ourselves." "That costs money, Lady Tiber," Zeke said, "and that is one resource we have painfully little of." Laura turned around. "There's a quarry around here where they dig for precious metals. With the power of my Warhammer Titan and the transportation power of Ms. Finger's Cart Titan, this will be no more than a trivial matter. You merely need to find the proper shinobi for this." "And where do you propose we search?" Reiner asked. Laura looked down on Reiner from the balcony. "That's your problem to solve." She turned and walked inside. Zeke sat there for a moment. "Well, you heard her. Chop chop." Naruto was attempting the test for a 3rd time. Everyone was watching, and Naruto felt a drop of sweat run down his cheek. He looked to Irika, who lipped to him. "Remember your training." Naruto nodded. He raised his fingers and closed his eyes. Suddenly, there was a pop, and the crowd gasped. Naruto opened his eyes and looked over to see a perfect replica of him that looked just as stunned as he did. I did it? I did it!" he shouted. That night, Irika would take Naruto out for ramen to celebrate, and the day after, he would officially be introduced to his new team, Team 7. It consisted of himself, Sasuke, and Sakura. Their Jonin was Kakashi, and the first thing he had them do was the bell test, which actually goes almost the same as before, except Naruto doesn't have his shadow clones to fall back on. But the same outcome does occur. When they disobey Kakashi's orders to not feed Naruto, he automatically passes them. The Land of Waves mission also occurs because what is a Naruto what if without the Land of Waves mission? The mission goes about the same up until the battle on the bridge. While Naruto and Sasuke are caught within the demonic mirroring ice crystals technique, Haku continues to throw his Senbon. He targets vital points in both Naruto and Sasuke's body. Naruto doesn't possess a Sharingan, and Sasuke is losing stamina and can't keep up. It's then that Haku throws a set of Senbon that Sasuke determines to be fatal. He steps in front of Naruto to take them. Naruto sees this and cries out for Sasuke. He wraps his arms around Sasuke and pushes forward, raising his hand to catch the Senbon, and in a flash, there's the sudden appearance of a large humanoid body. It's only partially formed, but it's there. Its hand reaches out to catch the Senbon, and it does so successfully. The sudden expulsion of heat and steam are enough to knock Haku back and shatter the technique. Naruto looks at this and Sasuke's startled. "What did you just do?" Naruto shakes his head. I have no idea." The sudden appearance of the same type of monster that decimated the village 12 years ago takes Kakashi and Zabuza off guard. But they quickly return to their battle, which results in the victory of Kakashi and the death of Haku. Gato and his men are then pushed back by Zabuza, though the swordsman receives fatal wounds and perishes beside Haku. They eventually return to Konoha, and it's here that Kakashi tells Hiruzen what he heard about how Naruto was capable of turning into the same type of monster that attacked Konoha all of those years earlier. Hiruzen would bring Naruto in to interview him on this. "Did you know that you could do this?" Hiruzen asks him. Naruto shakes his head. Hiruzen follows up. "Do you know how you did it? And could you do it again if asked?" Naruto shrugs. Kakashi posits his own theory. "Earlier on the mission, Naruto made a vow to never freeze up again. And I thought I saw a flash when he did so. He stabbed his own hand. His wound then healed. It's also true that in the battle on the bridge, when he summoned the beast, he had been wounded and sought desperately to protect Sasuke. I can only surmise that this power responds only to injury and determination. But that's about all I could gather with a quick glance from my Sharingan." Hiruzen thinks deeply. "This is something that we will have to study more when we have the chance." Unbeknownst to everyone, Reiner had heard this conversation as he'd been waiting outside the door. Titans? Reiner thought to himself. Naruto has access to a Titan. But how? He would quickly return to their treehouse in the forest. He would say what he had heard to the other warriors. "How is that possible?" Marcel said. "I thought only Eldians could obtain the power of a Titan." Zeke looked at him. "It's also supposed to be true that we lose our Titans after a 13-year term, and I'm living proof that rule was thrown out the window. I don't know what my father did with the coordinate, but he somehow overturned the rules we once took as pure law. If that's true, I wonder what else we can do now." He stroked his chin. Laura listened to this from the doorway, her eyes on Zeke. She then looked to Annie. "You need to gather intelligence. If Konoha is in possession of its own Titan shifter, then they no doubt will attempt to test it. I need you to watch this and determine if somehow this Naruto Uzumaki has obtained the coordinate, or if the target, Grisha Jaeger, has somehow created a 10th Titan." Back in the village, Naruto is brought to a location far enough away that it won't cause a scene. Here, they prepare to test Naruto's new Titan. Among those watching is the Hokage, Kakashi Hatake, various members of the Anbu, including Itachi, and some of the greatest minds Konoha has to offer. Kakashi would begin to explain to Naruto what it is he has to do according to their theories. He gives him a kunai and tells him that when he receives the green light, he is to injure himself and draw blood, and then will the Titan to come out. Naruto nods in understanding as Kakashi retreats to the safe zone. Naruto's given the go-ahead and proceeds to stab his hand as he did when making his vow, but for some reason the Titan won't come out. Naruto's just mangling his hand. Kakashi calls out for him to stop, which Naruto gladly does. He hits his knees, eyes running over with tears, his hand bleeding. "What's happening? Why isn't he transforming?" Hiruzen asks. Kakashi sighs. "I don't think he has the proper motivation." "What kind of motivation would he need?" Itachi asks. Kakashi looks over at him. "Preferably something life-threatening." Itachi nodded. "Give me a few moments." Itachi makes his way out to Naruto. He looks at Naruto as he cradles his hand. Naruto looks up at Itachi. Hiruzen looks out at the scene. What is Itachi doing? Suddenly, Itachi kicks Naruto in the face, knocking him back. He then lifts Naruto into the air and tosses him down. "Stop him! He'll kill Naruto!" Kakashi puts his hand out in front of Hiruzen. "Let him cook." Itachi looks down on Naruto. "So what was it? A lie? Or was that attack 12 years ago your fault? I find it funny that those titanic creatures appeared in our village the day you were born, and now you, of all people, can turn into one. So what are you? Were you responsible for that attack?" Naruto's eyes were wide. No! Itachi scoffed. "I don't think I'm going to take any chances." Itachi summoned his Susanoo and raised a fist to smash Naruto. Naruto cried out as the fist came down. There was a burst of light, and the fist of the Susanoo was caught by the hand of a blonde titan, the attack titan. Hiruzen smiled. "He did it." Kakashi shook his head. "No, something's wrong." Naruto roared at Itachi as he stood to his full height. He attempted to strike Itachi's Susanoo. The Susanoo raised its shield, the Yata mirror, to defend against its attacks. Naruto was going berserk and they needed to do something about it. Kakashi stepped out and ran toward the battle to help, but Itachi looked back at him. "Stop, I have this." Itachi looked back and began to size Naruto up, pushing the upper limits of his Sharingan. He managed to witness chakra pathways and the flow of chakra within the creature and found Naruto within the beast's nape. Itachi had a fallback plan just in case it didn't work. He then looked into the beast's eyes with his Mangekyou Sharingan and cast a powerful genjutsu. Thankfully, this seemed to work. The Titan came to a halt and shook its head. Its expression softened a bit and it looked at Itachi and then Kakashi. It let out a sound that almost sounded like it was attempting to communicate with them but didn't have the capacity to do so. "Naruto's back," Itachi said. All the while, Annie had been watching from a distance. She returned to the warrior's hideout where she informed Zeke that Naruto indeed possessed the Attack Titan, and this likely meant that he also unknowingly had access to the Founding Titan, even if he couldn't use it. Zeke was reading the paper and noticed information about the Chunin exams being hosted by Konoha. "Divine Providence," he said. "Maybe this is a sign that things are finally going to start going our way. Reiner, Berthold." Reiner and Berthold appear in the doorway. Zeke looks up at them. "Chunin exams are coming. You need to be there. And when the opportunity presents itself, you need to capture Naruto and bring him to us." Reiner and Berthold look at each other for a moment and then return their gaze to Zeke with a nod. The Chunin exams begin to take place and Naruto starts doing what he would originally do. That is to say, he nearly flunks the written test and passes by pure gutsiness. Later, during the Forest of Death, Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke are attacked by Orochimaru. Orochimaru attempts to separate Naruto from the pack by summoning a large snake, but Naruto catches it with his Titan form and makes quick work of it before immediately turning to Orochimaru and punting him like a football. No curse marks for Sasuke this time. Despite how strong this form is, Naruto can't rely upon it much in the Forest of Death, as it's so large that it tips off the other shinobi that he's coming and gives them ample time to hide. Not to mention that in such a densely packed space, this Titan can hardly maneuver its way through the trees. Team 7 must instead rely upon their smarts to get to the next round, which they do successfully manage. In the Forest of Death center is the arena where the next stage of the Chunin exams takes place. And I'ma just let you know right now, there is no way that Kiba and Akamaru beat a 15-meter version of Naruto, so the outcomes of the matches are pretty much the same. But what's different here is that in the middle of the first round, the Chunin exams are interrupted by Reiner and Berthold's armored and colossal titans. Because of the unexpected secondary attack, Orochimaru has to push his timetable forward to capitalize upon the confusion. The issue is, Hiruzen is not nearby, so it seems unlikely that he's going to be able to kill his master. However, he does plan to use this to cause as much damage to Konoha as possible, in hopes of eradicating the village. To that end, he summons his snakes to do his bidding and forces Gaara to release Shukaku. This ends up becoming a three-way brawl as Reiner and Berthold are here for Naruto, and Naruto is being protected by the Anbu and the Uchiha Susanos, who are allied with Jiraiya, who's fighting Orochimaru's forces that are also threatening Reiner and Berthold. So, due to the unexpected scenario, their kidnapping attempt on Naruto doesn't work all that well and Naruto manages to escape. Orochimaru's forces are routed by the efforts of the Uchiha clan and Jiraiya, and Reiner and Berthold make a strategic retreat upon seeing that they will not be able to take Naruto. Konoha once more receives quite a bit of damage that it's going to need to recover from. But the good news, I suppose, is that Hiruzen survives. However, it becomes apparent that after the reappearance of the armored and colossal titans that they're after Naruto for some reason. Hiruzen thinks it's best to send Naruto off to stay with Jiraiya and train under him for a time until they can figure out what to do about the Titans. Reiner and Berthold report back to Zeke about the mission and its failure. Zeke seems disappointed, but simply takes a sip of his coffee. "No matter, we at least know who is currently in control of the coordinate. All we need to do is wait for Naruto to re-emerge and then we will be able to complete our mission." And I think it's safe to call it quits here. I won't lie, Attack on Titan is one of my all-time favorite series, so to be able to write a few stories about it really makes me happy. I'm super hyped about the upcoming finale. By the time this video is out, the final episode may have already aired. But speaking as my past self, I am very excited. I've read the manga, so I know how it ends, but that doesn't make me any less excited. It's gonna be sad to see the series go, but for a series to actually reach a conclusion is a wonderful thing, and it's far better than getting cancelled like so many others, but I digress. What did you think about the video? Did you like the merging of these two stories? What were your favorite parts? What would you like to see done in the next chapter? Be sure to leave a comment below and tell me. We always love hearing from you. Until next time, peace out.
Did you enjoy our video? Well then be sure to check out these other great videos from the Amagi, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.